So is this the Wales team to upset Ireland in the Six Nations this weekend? Warren Gatland, as is often the case, has named the team early. And what do you make of it? Comment down below. Welcome back to the channel. Look, there's no getting away from the fact that if Wales were to beat Ireland this weekend, it would be an almighty upset. I don't think there is anyone in the comments who will genuinely be thinking Wales are going to do it. I think they could do it, but I think it is a massive, massive long shot. But nonetheless, what do you make of this team that Gatland's gone for? And how can this Wales team hurt Ireland? As brilliant as Ireland are at the moment, as much as we probably all expect them to win and possibly win relatively comfortably, what are the ways that this Wales team, it's youthful, inexperienced, but they have proven in the opening 2 rounds that they can trouble sides? How can they trouble this Ireland team? Lots of things for us to consider. In terms of the team news, one change to the starting 15. Sam Costello is the man that comes back in. He comes in at fly half. Ioan Lloyd, who was the starting fly half for the game against England, drops to the bench. And then Mackenzie Martin is on the bench as well in place of Taine Basham. So not a huge amount of changes for Wales, but a significant one in the fact that it is at fly half and Costello comes back in. I think the general lack of changes makes sense. It's been really fascinating actually seeing some of the reaction to this Wales team, because there seems to be a lot of negativity around it. And whilst I get that you can argue whether you want to see Mason Grady being given a little bit more game time rather than a few minutes off the bench, maybe Will Rowlands should be starting in the second row. There are things like that, but generally speaking, I think this is as good a team as they can go with pretty much at this moment in time. I think not disrupting it a huge amount makes sense, given the fact that, as I've mentioned already, it is an inexperienced team. There's a lot of youthful guys that have come into the setup relatively recently. I think keeping it as settled an environment as possible so that these guys can continue to grow makes an awful lot of sense from Gatland's point of view. But the fly half is obviously one of the big discussion points, with Costello coming back in. Again, that's another one that makes sense, because Costello would have started against England if he wasn't injured. I know Lloyd was brilliant in the second half against Scotland after Costello went off and he came in, and there was that remarkable comeback which was almost a famous victory. And Ioan Lloyd did okay against England, I thought. But Costello is always going to be the guy that, if healthy, I think starts this Six Nations. He spent time with the team at the World Cup. He spent time under the likes of Dan Biggar and Gareth Anscombe and learning under some of the more experienced guys that have been in that setup and have been playing fly half for Wales for a long, long time. And for me, anyway, when I look at Costello, out of all the options that Wales currently have at their disposal, he looks like the guy that has the most potential to be moulded into a really good, solid international fly half. I think he has the attributes there. He just needs more game time. So for him to come back in, again, I think does make an awful lot of sense. But the question I suppose it poses, and this isn't just about fly half, this is about the whole team, what style of rugby are Wales going to try and implement? What's the game plan and how do they play? First half against Scotland was, I suppose they were trying to do kind of territorial kick pressure. It backfired terribly. They kicked the ball away. They kicked it away aimlessly. They didn't put any pressure on the Scotland catchers. Scotland got the ball, got on the front foot and cut Wales apart. The second half, Wales reverted to a game plan where they were spreading it wide, they were attacking from anywhere, and as they put Scotland under pressure, as they won penalties, they kicked to the corners and their driving maul, which has looked really good this whole Six Nations, by the way. It was another weapon against England at Twickenham, was able to get them moving forward, and that was able to put pressure on the Scots. And then against England, I suppose it was a bit of a combination in that they'd clearly noticed things in how England defended that they thought they could exploit in attack, the crossfield kicks and things like that. And as I say, their driving maul, when they were able to get it in position, looked pretty dangerous as well. But what do they do against Ireland? I always think this is one of the toughest questions when facing the very best sides, isn't it? Is you look at Ireland at the moment and you think, how do you harm them? And based upon what we've seen so far this Six Nations, it's very easy to look at where Wales are and think, I just can't see it. I can't see how they're going to do it. I think they can. Rob Howley has spoken in the press conference following the team announcement about how they want an element of chaos, which I think is quite interesting. Perhaps they don't want too structured a game plan. And they have to, I think, find ways of matching Ireland physically. They cannot be beaten on the gain line in the way in which they were in the first half against Scotland, because this Ireland team on the front foot, when they get their attacking game going, will score tries on any team. So they have to find a way of matching them there. And then maybe it is an element of chaos. Maybe it is similar to what we saw in the second half against Scotland. If they are able to move the ball and put Ireland under pressure and break tackles, and then if that can lead to them being in positions where their driving maul comes into play, then they do have elements of their game that can harm Ireland. But for me, to go back to the original question and the question in the thumbnail, is this the Wales side to upset Ireland? I just can't see it, unfortunately. I think it could be a really intriguing game because, a combined total of 3 points that Wales have lost their 2 fixtures so far. Wales could easily be sat here 2 from 2, in which case the whole way in which we view this game might be slightly different. So they have had tight games, but I just think at this moment in time, Ireland are a step above everyone else. I think Wales have been impressive, as Gatland said, following that match at Twickenham. He thinks there is signs that this is going to be a really good Wales team in a couple of years. But I think this is part of their building blocks to get there. 2012 was the last time that Wales had won in Dublin, and that's been some pretty experienced Welsh teams that have gone there and not been successful. I'm not sure I can see this Wales team, with the lack of experience in it, the fact that it's still developing, going to Ireland and beating them at this moment in time. But we'll wait and see. Who knows? It's going to be absolutely fascinating. Comment down below, what do you make of this Wales team? I've focused on the fly half area because that's where the change is, and that led into a discussion about style of play. But any other areas? Alex Mann coming in. This could be the Six Nations that he breaks through. Massive issue at Twickenham, talking of experience, was I think the front row replacements. When England were able to bring on Dan Cole and Ellis Genge, you could feel the difference there, the impact that the England bench had compared with the Wales bench. Maybe that is just another part of this team's transition and development in terms of getting more experience. But that seems pretty key at this moment in time. So comment down below, make sure you like the video, make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well, and I'll see you in the next one.